Huh. Wait a minute. I bet you didn't come over here to see me making a crap macchiato. Give me one sec. But I thought I'd make this video because I'm actually, sorry, I'm not very good at holding a camera and getting my stuff ready. I'm actually just getting my camera bag ready because I have a shoot tomorrow. And so since I struggle to make these kind of videos, I just thought I need to make sure that everything is packed, so why not turn it into a sort of what's in my camera bag, so that you, if you are one of my potential clients or if you are a videographer, can see what I bring for a shoot. So tomorrow I'm actually filming for a very special charity, a charity that I really enjoy working with, and they're called Tailor-Made Dreams. If you want to find out more about them, I'll leave links down below for you to go and search them. And I've had a pleasure to work alongside them for a couple of times. I met with Jed, Becca, Susie, the CEO. It's a project I'm really looking forward to be filming. So it's basically a couple of interviews with maybe 3 or 4 people at the same time. So it's going to be challenging in terms of camera angles and also audio wise, but I've got everything that I need to basically make sure I can capture that properly. And so I thought, since today I need to make sure everything has been charged, everything has been packed, all the cards and SSDs have been formatted. But I suffer from something that I don't know the name of, but it's basically if I get my stuff ready a long time before, if that makes sense. If I sort my stuff out with a lot of notice and in basically in advance, if I give myself more than like a week or so, because that's when I pack the bag, then a couple of days before I need to make sure that I go back and see if everything is in there, if there's any last minute things I need to be sorting out. So I'm gonna take you onto the sofa where we'll sit down next to Marlo and we'll start unpacking my suitcase. Yeah, so here's my bag. We're gonna unpack that. A couple of bits that I got charging, such as that. Keep that in mind. And yeah, let's start unpacking. Right, so let's start with the bag itself. So this is a Manfrotto. I don't know the name of the bag, but I very quickly realized that my back wasn't going to survive if I carried basically rucksacks with me every time I traveled for work, etc. So I thought, you know what, I'll get myself a suitcase with wheels so I can just pull things along rather than carrying everything myself. And to be fair, it's been the best investment in camera gear I've made in the past couple of years. Next to it, there's a Manfrotto tripod. Again, I'm not sure what the exact model name, but I'll put it on the screen. There's another one where their camera's on, so I normally bring 2 because I normally, for like an interview style shoot, I would have 2 cameras, and I would have like a BTS camera filming what those cameras and what the setup is, because obviously as content creators nowadays and videographers, our portfolio and what we do for a living isn't enough to show on social media, so we kind of need to show the process behind the scenes and all of that. So I always have a 3rd camera, which is the camera I'm now filming on, with a wider lens, 16-35, to just get the behind the scenes. And means that, you know, it's additional content for me. It's something I always ask my clients if they're okay with me doing. Some projects don't allow that, some others do, but it's always so good. It's always good to have that as part of your portfolio. We talked about the tripods. Let's see what we'll start with. The good thing about this bag is that you obviously won't see it, but there's these straps here that obviously keep tension on there, so that it's not working now, so that the lid stays there. So what do we start with? I think we should start with cameras, because that's the most, I suppose that's the heart of the shoot, isn't it? So for cameras, I shoot on Lumixes. I've been shooting Lumix for over 10 years. I started with a Lumix G2, which was actually my wife's at the time, and then progressed to the GH5, which was one of my favorite cameras, alongside running Canon. But there was something about the Lumixes when it came down to stabilization that I really enjoyed, and couldn't really fault the image quality and stuff. These are 6K professional cameras. I know some people, sometimes it's hard when you turn up to a shoot with like a DSLR mirrorless type of camera rather than one of those box cameras. But I just think for the stuff that I do in terms of like run and gun, real estate, weddings, corporate events and stuff, I need a system that's light, compact, that I can break down into a smaller piece, but also without compromising on quality and professional features. So these cameras are really good. I've got one, and I've also got another one. And they both want small rig cages. You probably know why that is. If you don't, it's basically so that I can put a handle on them, or side handle, top handle. I can put monitors on them, to help me see the image better. And I've got two S52Xs, so these are the Lumix S52Xs. They've been working perfectly for me, no complaints at all. Video quality is great, photo quality, not that I do a lot of photography, but photo quality is also great, and just really incredible workhorses. I wanted to have the exact same body twice, just so that there was no differences in terms of image quality, color profiles, all that kind of stuff. I wanted them to match as much as possible. I do have a Lumix S9 which is currently filming, which essentially has the same specs as these cameras, just with a few limitations. But I mean, for this, and even for a professional shoot, I use it all the time and it's not an issue at all. So that camera would be then the BTS camera, which will be filming what we are doing, the setup, etc. So that's for cameras. Lenses, I only own 4 lenses, and they basically do everything I need. One day I will invest in prime lenses, and if you don't know what prime lens is, it's basically a lens that's only at one focal length. So you can't change it, you can't zoom in the lens. Those lenses are technically superior when it comes to image quality. Perhaps if you were in this industry as a professional videographer or photographer, you would notice a difference, and they're better for low light as well. But client-wise, I don't think many people would be able to tell if I'm shooting at 85mm on a prime lens or if I'm shooting at 85mm on a zoom lens. The lenses I use, they're all f2.8, and basically that is really good for low light, essentially. These cameras also have dual native ISO. Don't need to know what that means. That means that they perform really well under low light circumstances. So lenses, as I said, I've got the 16-35 on the S9. I've got a 24-70. These are all Sigmas. I've been working with Sigma since 2015, and they've come a long way. I really love their lenses. They're not as expensive as Sony lenses, Canon lenses, etc., but they perform just as well, if not better, and they offer you a bit more value for your money. So this is the 24-70. This is great. Will be the lens that I use all the time. Weddings and stuff, this is the lens that stays on my main camera. Interviews, lens that stays on the main camera. It's basically like my workhorse. If I had to just grab a bag and run out of the house to make sure I could capture anything, this will be the lens I'll bring with me, because it can do wide, it can do tight shots. It basically does everything you need it to do, and it does it really well. It's also quite compact, it's lightweight, and yeah, does the job. I'm just gonna put it back so that everything stays tidied. What next? Why don't we talk about, well, I've got all sorts of pouches, and I repurpose things, like bags I get with one bag, I repurpose them for other things. So this is my storage bag, and I mean that in the sense of digital storage bag. So in here, I have a number of different cables. Again, one thing about these cameras that I really enjoy, it's the fact that they can record to SSD. And when you can record to SSD means that you can transfer files faster, you can record at higher quality, and it's just a breeze to work with. I also have a couple of adapters in there just to be able to transfer stuff, and have a few of these SD cards. These are 128 gig SanDisk SD cards, nothing special, nothing crazy, just basically like if I for some reason can't connect the SSD, or if I run out of space, they're 1 terabyte by the way, those SSDs, they basically serve as a backup. And you'll see a theme of like backups. I think obviously there's a difference between doing this as a hobby and there's a difference, and when you do it as a profession, you can't really run the risk of equipment failure in you not having a backup. Don't know why this is not shutting. You can see that I'm struggling with this. So yeah, the common theme here is backups for backups. You know what, I'm just gonna put on spend the whole time watching me close that or failing to close that. This video is probably not gonna be very engaging. I'm not gonna do a lot of crazy editing, just because I feel like sometimes I can find myself being too much of a perfectionist, and that kind of stops me doing things that I want to do for myself, because especially when you do this for a living, you end up thinking, well, if I can't do it up to a standard that I'll be happy with, or a standard that looks a certain way of like the best thing that I've ever produced, then it's not worth doing. And so I'm trying really hard to come up with reasons to justify overcoming that. Because if I was to set up this properly with a key light, with a fill light. I would just end up not doing it, let's put it that way. So I do appreciate you taking the time and sticking around. If you value this kind of videos, consider giving it a subscribe, liking this channel. You know, over here I post all sorts of stuff, from like behind the scenes stuff, tips and tricks when it comes to videography and photography, alongside projects that I've done in the past that I'm currently working on. So we talked about storage, we talked about lens, one lens. We haven't talked, I've got a couple of these things, these pouches here, and these things are great. I think I asked for a pair, like I've asked for these specifically for Christmas a couple of years ago, just because I needed something that was see-through so I could see what was inside, and it's just easier to keep a lot of stuff that goes together. So this is all for rigging camera stuff. So again, you probably really, if you are interested in seeing me rigging one of these cameras, so as I would if I was shooting, then drop me a comment. But it's nothing crazy. We've got, what do you call these, Doppler battery, so you can basically plug it into a power bank and power your camera until the power bank dies. We've got SSD holders. There's a couple of these basically mounting points. There's side handles. There's top handles in there. Nothing really crazy, just for a simple camera rig. Basically top handle, side handle, SSD holders, and these mounting points to attach other bits like microphones and stuff around. If you, like I said, if you want to see a full video on how I rig a camera and the kind of equipment I used to rig a camera, then let me know and I'll be more than happy to do that, because I love rigging things. Right, after that we've got, I normally take a monitor. For tomorrow I'm taking this. I might not end up using it because this goes alongside another piece of equipment that I took for interviews, which I don't use for its intended purpose, but really helps me show the client what is being filmed. So normally you would have like a monitor showing, give me just a sec, which is this. And again, you see, I use bags that are not designed to carry these types of things, but hey, it is what it is. In here, I've got a camera switcher. And basically what this allows you to do, this is the OC Go Stream Duet. Again, it was one of those pieces of equipment. It's a piece of equipment that very rarely gets used because I don't do as many live streams as I used to. But if you need the live stream done, I've got the equipment to do it, I've got the experience to do it, so it doesn't really matter. So basically, you can connect up to 4 cameras, and you've got 2 HDMI outputs. One can go to like a director's monitor, so that the client can see what you're filming, what's on the screen, and the other one shows you basically like a program, so you can see all 4 inputs at the same time. And I use that function for these types of interviews because most of the time I'm doing these things on my own, and if I am going from camera to make sure that they're recording, everything's going well, that's distracting for the interviewee. So I find it much easier to just use this, plug the cameras into it, and then monitor the video feed through there rather than having to go to every camera. So this comes with me for most of these interview shoots, and then I plug that onto this monitor so that I can see the 4 channels and all the cameras being monitored at the same time. I also can connect it to the iPad, my MacBook, and that allows me to use those devices as well if I don't want to bring that one, because that one needs to be powered as well. Coffee is going to be cold. I hope you got one. We talked about the OC, the Go Stream thing. Then I've got another lens, and this is the 70-200. This is overkill for what I'm doing tomorrow. Ideally, I would use another 24-70, but because, you know, I don't have rivers of cash to blow on equipment, I just utilize what I've got. And so normally I use this is mainly used for weddings, for like the speeches section or the ceremony at weddings. It's very useful for that because it means I'm not intruding on the personal space of people and stuff. And those places are very, you know, sometimes people are really far away, which is good to have that zoom, 200mm zoom. And some other times it's good so that I can be a little bit further back and still get that. But this will be basically my close-up shot tomorrow, and that's basically it. It's a really great, again, Sigma. I just love this. This is one of my favorite lenses. Every shot I take with this, I absolutely love it. The compression is amazing. The image quality is just incredible. What can I say about it? It's just like a workhorse. It's a more of a premium lens, but it's, again, a great investment. And I just wish it was a little bit smaller. It would live. I would definitely swap this for the 24-70. It would be a bit more of a stylistic choice, but hey, I just prefer the image of this lens better. Again, I've got like stepping up rings in here. I've got an HDMI cable. I've got a power bank holder that I can rig to the camera. All sorts of stuff. Like I said, I will if you want make a video about me rigging a camera, just put that back. And then I've got another pouch, another one of these DJI mic pouches. This one is just filled with cables. So one thing as a videographer that I'm always concerned about is cables. Can I connect this to that? Can I charge this whilst doing that? It's always a concern of mine. So I always keep several cables of the same type and different types in here. This is just a tiny little light. It's an Aperture MC something. It's very old. It was one of the first lights that I got. It's currently under charge, so good thing I checked this. So this needs to go on to charge. The difficulty is that it has one of those USB-B cables, so one of those tiny lights on it, just to give it a little accent of color, of brightness. It's kind of a lot more dynamic and interesting to look at for long periods of time. You're probably already bored of that. So had I put that there, at least it would have been a bit better. I'm just coming to see you to see if it's still rolling, which it is. 23 minutes, you're doing well. So, last couple of things are audio. Let's see what I've got here. Audio, because I'm sure you heard it before, but the audio is crackly, fuzzy, or just has overall poor quality. People will most likely click away. For some reason, like audio stimuli, it's a lot stronger than visual stimuli. Don't know why, it just is. So what do we have for audio? So inside this pouch here, I've got, actually let's start with the other stuff. So this is the Tascam Porta Capture X8, and this was a recommendation from a friend of mine. I was on a lookout for a field recorder, audio recorder that could serve as backup audio, and for me it had to be 32-bit float. If you don't know what 32-bit float is, let me know in the comments and I'll make a comment, I'll make a video about it. But essentially is at the moment the best audio codec to record in, because it basically lets you know when you shout and the sound gets distorted. This basically, you can shout the loudest you want and you can still make the audio crisp and clear, or you can whisper and you'll still be able to bring those levels back up. Again, I love the fact that it's, well, I'm not sure, but it's battery powered, like it's powered by AA batteries. Oh, that's what I had here. So basically I got these chargeable, got this out of Amazon. There's nothing really special about them. I think it was like £20, because otherwise I'd be spending a fortune in batteries. But essentially it lets you connect professional microphones. You have an XLR and also a jack input. You got 4 of them. So you can use this for interviews where everyone has a microphone, or if you want, you can connect a wireless microphone, which is what I'm going to do tomorrow, onto it and record audio that way. Because let's say if I've got 3 cameras on set tomorrow, if one of the cameras dies and the audio is being recorded separately, then I can use the footage from the other cameras, if I don't get to that camera on time, and still have the original audio that's crisp and clear. This is great. I love this because, as you probably can tell, I'm quite short-sighted, and this has a huge touchscreen. So most of these things nowadays are basically full of buttons. They're really difficult to navigate. I just find that this is perfect for me. The screen size is big enough, there's buttons on it, and then the audio quality is just great. So that's what I'm going to use as a backup audio. And these are the DJI Mic 3 or Mic 3 Pro. I can't really remember. I used to have the original DJI mic, and I used them for the best part of like 2 years, and I've never had an issue. The thing with these is that they are wireless, so it's great because it means that the clients are not tethered to the camera or not tethered to anything. I can just put this on them and hide it really well. It's tiny. Obviously, if I take this off, you'll see how tiny this actually is. This is like a tiny little thing. Again, it records internally, so you can record a backup of a backup if you wanted to, which I normally do, to be fair. It's 32-bit float as well, so you can shout, you can whisper, and the audio will be basically absolutely fine. Obviously there are some circumstances where you can mess it up, but you know, those are very rare. I can make a review of these if you're interested. These work with cameras, these work with smartphones, laptops, iPads, all sorts of stuff. This is great for content creators. I highly recommend it. But to me, the feature that made me upgrade, because whilst 32-bit float is great, I feel like if you've got a bit of experience with audio, only under very specific circumstances will you mess up the audio. And so 32-bit float is great, but it wasn't necessarily a good enough reason for me to upgrade for these. Why I upgraded for these was because, now I can get these, you can connect. Well, one, they have got time code, and if you don't know what time code is, that doesn't matter. It basically is a way to synchronize different cameras with different audio sources and make them into one. And it synchronizes them, basically saves you a lot of time in post-production. That's essentially it. It's just to save you time. But they have time code, and they also, one receiver, which is this bit here, one of these can connect to up to 4 of these wireless microphones. So I showed you a couple earlier, and I've got another 2 in here. So there's one, I'm not going to take it out because it's too hard, and there's 2. And what that means is that now I'm not limited to 1 or 2 speakers. I can record up to 4 speakers independently, and if I have more speakers, then I can use this powered with some lapel mics to capture the sound that way. So again, it just gives you that versatility. Tomorrow, for example, I'm not entirely sure how many people are going to be interviewed. I know that it's up to 4 sometimes. I've seen some of their previous videos. So it'll be great to be able to mic them all individually and then have one sort of general audio source as a backup in case something happens. And then inside there as well, I've got 2 of these, and these are just microphone capsules that go onto here. If I can put them properly, I never know. There you go, looks like it's like that. And now this thing can work as a handheld mic, and so you can talk to this thing like this. I know it looks ridiculous. How I use this is as a backup. So I'd have my external mic, which is a boom mic, which is not here, pointing at people, and then I would have this pointing as well as a backup. You know, nowadays with the amount of programs there are there to fix audio and stuff like that and enhance audio, you could, if you were pushed, use bad audio and still be able to work it out. So that's it for audio. I think most of these things, like everything, it's about having backups. So I'm now recording on another set of microphones. These are my original first generation DJI mics. You probably didn't hear any of that. So these will come with me tomorrow, just in case. You never know. You know, I can't. One of the main reasons why you should hire a professional and why you as a videographer, if you are a videographer, should have backups. It's because of that, the redundancy. It's if something goes wrong, you know, first of all, if you're doing this in-house and you don't have the staff, it would take you a long time. It would take a lot of investment for you to get the equipment to obtain that quality and assurance. I think that's more important than quality, is the assurance that if something goes wrong with the equipment you're using, you know that the professional that's there with you has you covered. If one of these cameras fails, I've got 3 cameras. I can easily at a pinch replace one. I mean, 2 going wrong at the same time, that would be very bad, but I could still make it with one camera. 2 cameras, 3 cameras just for redundancy and backup. Audio, I've got this. That's why you hire a professional. It's because you then have that redundancy. You have that assurance that if something goes off, the camera stops working, you've got a professional there that's got a backup one or can assess the camera and make it work again. If the audio starts crackling, you've got someone who's listening out, who's paying attention to that to make sure that it is done properly. So it's not just about making something look good and sound good. It's about having someone who can think quickly, be a quick thinker, think on a spot, and knows the equipment in and out to then be able to act quickly. Because the worst thing that can happen, you know, time is money. And if you are a real estate agent and you are at a property and your smartphone stops working, you know, that's time that you're losing, you're not being efficient, you're stressing out, which then means that you're not going to present to camera as well as you should do. And if you are a couple getting married, you know, you don't want to risk, you know, you spending thousands on your wedding. You might not, but you know, you pay for the flowers. These are things that will disappear after your day. What won't disappear is the photos, the videos that were made on that day. And by having a professional, you are ensuring that that is being captured professionally. You know, most of my couples, months later after they're receiving the wedding film, they come up to me and say, look, we didn't get the top package, but is there any chance we could have the full ceremony video so that we can hear our vows again? You wouldn't be able to have that if recorded by a friend. And that's the thing, it's not so much about the quality as the assurance, the possibilities, and then also obviously alongside the quality and it looking professional. You can't want to be seen as someone who takes what you do seriously if you are not being consistent with the visuals you're getting. I've noticed a lot of this with real estate agents, is where, you know, they paid for a few property video tours, and then for some reason, either a property, they might think that property is really not worth paying the extra for the video, but then you have this other video of a mid-terrace house that was filmed on an iPhone and it looks like a beginner shot it. If you think about what kind of message that transmits to your potential clients, you would easily see that, okay, so if I was a client, okay, so if my house is a 3-bed detached, then I get this service. But if my house is a 1-bed flat, then I'm not treated equally. And they might not say that, but that's definitely something they feel and think subconsciously. So it's important. It's not just a one-off thing, especially for real estate agents. It's something that you should be consistent. You should be known for those kind of visuals. If you want to do videos on your phone and have that on your Instagram, there's nothing wrong with that. There's ways, and if you want me to, I can come along and how to get the best out of phone footage, absolutely not a problem at all. You need to be making those films with those phones all the time and learning the best as you can, as much as you can, to be making sure that they still look professional, because you are professionals. You know, you spend so much time listing these properties, going and meeting clients and stuff. You want to make sure that you look like you're taking this stuff seriously. And it's better sometimes to just have it look like it was shot on a phone. It's just not consistent. Consistency. People like seeing similar things. You know, people feel at ease when, okay, I just know that this is X video from that company because it has that aesthetic to it. People then associate that to you. Anyway, we are rambling now. Oh, filters, ND filters. Might not need them tomorrow, but what these do, these are essentially sunglasses for the camera, and they help really tone down the bright sides of the image. But yeah, I'm sorry about the rambly video. I'm sorry if it's too long. If you made it to the end, comment ice cream popcorn to let me know that you stayed here. I kind of want to make more videos like this because I'm someone who struggles to like memorize a script. I know that sometimes my ideas can be all over the place. That's just how my brain works. I'm not natural in front of a camera. It's something I still struggle with. I'm good behind it. But if you enjoyed it, leave it a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to collaborate on any projects, feel free to send me a message. Until next time, I don't know, drink less coffee. Bye.